Hello, everyone. Take two. We had a second with the internet. It went out for a moment. Um, so today we're going to be talking about some comments that former President Obama, had said regarding why Trump was seeing a rise in support with the African American community. I found his comments to be offensive. No shock there. Obama, he's always been pretty sly about his disses. Trump is like a he hits things with like a blunt object. If he's coming at you with an insult, he's gonna bring one that's pretty obvious. And Obama, he kind of like is kind of more surgical with his offensiveness. And so I'm excited to talk to you guys about this. I'm excited to have a friend of mine on, Tony Davenport, who is a very big Trump supporter. He is a longtime conservative, very active in Michigan politics. So he'll be coming on later to give his opinion on the comments that Obama made as a Black man who voted for the president. And I don't know if he would identify himself that way. When people ask about me being a Trump supporter, I'm like, I support him because I feel that he supports me. And that's what it comes down to. I don't have to lay it on anyone's altar, but obviously was the best choice and is the best choice. And I believe did a good job, despite some of his more colorful flaws. But I'm excited. Like I said, I'm excited to talk to you guys about some of the stuff that was going on. And I did not see it really on the internet that much. I saw Larry Elder talked about it, but I didn't see really anyone else really cover it from my media circle. So this might be something that you didn't hear today. So let me go ahead and play the clip first for you guys.
Polls heading into the election showed that Trump actually had some marginal support among young Black men in particular. Now, obviously, saw some big name rappers come out for Trump. What's going on there in your mind? Why have those numbers moved a little bit?
Well, look, I mean, I think men generally are more susceptible to public figures who act tough, sort of a stereotypical macho style.
I'm going to show you a thing of beauty. Look at that. Are these flabby arms?
I don't think Black men are immune to that any more than white or Hispanic men are. A lot of the values of popular culture are constantly extolling wealth, power, frankly, greed, not thinking about other people because you're so ruthless that you're just looking out for yourself. If there are some in the hip-hop community who are constantly rapping about bling and depicting women in a certain way, and then they hear Donald Trump basically delivering the same version of it.
I'm really rich.
Grab him by the
They might say, yeah, that guy, that's what I want. That's what I want to be.
Yeah, that's what I want to be. That's what he thinks. That I guess Black people in the entertainment industry, at least, I'll give him the benefit of a doubt and say that he wasn't referring to all Black men looking at Trump and feeling that way, but that was particularly a comment from the people who are engaged in the pop culture industry. But if you like those kind of lyrics and into that kind of culture, I don't see how that still doesn't pertain to those people as well. But even so, I think it's pretty offensive. So we're gonna break that down. But first, I would like to say, if you're watching, please go ahead and share this with somebody right now, and we're gonna dive into these comments. So first and foremost, Obama has already done this recently. We talked earlier, I believe it was last week, about how Obama talked about the Hispanic community, and he was asked about why Hispanics were supporting Donald Trump. And he said, well, they're evangelicals, and I'm not going to do the impression too much, but they're evangelicals, and they care about gay marriage, and they care about abortion, and they lean that way. And even though Trump may make all these horrible remarks, that at the end of the day, they're like, well, at least he's against these things that I'm against. So that was also insulting, and it also brings the premise that all these people who support Trump buy into the fact that that he's a racist, that they believe that. I know the Democrats believe that, and they push that, and the media pushes that, but some people look past their propaganda and a lot of the lies and that they tell. And so, for example, Brandon Straka, who started the walkaway movement, and I believe I've mentioned him that before in that particular broadcast I talked about with Hispanics, he looked at he believed that Donald Trump was so awful because they kept showing that video of the Trump, mocking the disabled reporter. And someone commented one day and said, "I'm not trying to start mess with you or drama, but have you seen this?" And it was a breakdown showing Trump also doing kind of the same gestures, mocking other people. So then he realized the media was manipulating him because he wasn't making fun specifically of this man's disability. He was just making, just kind of gestures in his like Trump, theatrical kind of way when he's telling stories or talking about folks or whatever. So once he saw that and he broke through that wall, he started on a deep dive and he just realized the media lied and lied and lied and lied. So there's a lot of people who have been going on deep dives and seeing that the media is lying. And there's people who I know who haven't done a deep dive, but they just heard so much negativity that they're like, there must be something to this man because of how much the media hates him. So Obama buys into the premise that everyone has just accepted that this man is awful and terrible, and all of the things that the media says about Trump are the things that are true, and that we just believe it. And so we know this and we accept this, but I guess specifically talking about Hispanics, they know this and they accept these things about Trump, but at the end of the day, they're like, he's awful and he's racist, but at least he's against gay marriage, which Donald Trump went into the office actually being like, whatever, you do what you do you. Obama campaigned against. He said he wasn't for it when he came in office. That was something he wasn't really for, I think, until his reelection. I don't know if it was on the campaign trail or I can't remember if it was afterwards. So, and then other people like Biden, they were all in the Don't Act So Tell and stuff. So Trump was, even trying to push, like, he's like big anti-gay, agenda or gays. That's not even like a real thing. And I said I went to evangelical events, and that was not even a big topic. It wasn't even a topic of discussion when people were saying support Trump. It was not a thing. And when you looked at why people, were voting, it didn't even rate on the register on it at all. Like, as gay marriage being an issue that Hispanics cared about or Americans in general cared about. Now, abortion did make, like, I think it was like on the 12th issue, or it might have gotten the top 10 with Hispanics. But if you believe that life starts at conception and that abortion is murder and that you're terminating a life, that is like the most barbaric practice like that we have in America. And this a sin that is as great, if not more, than slavery, which I think it's even more so. I know people won't agree with that, but there's people don't feel all the same way about abortion. But if knowing what we know now about fetal development, and I just don't, I think that's a genuine thing people need to revisit. But if it was a one voter issue, that would be acceptable. But that's not the case. He didn't talk about policy as reasons why people would support Trump. And with the Hispanics, especially the Cuban community, of course, they don't like all of the socialism tactics and things that are familiar to them, of stuff that they left from countries that they fled or that their parents fled or their grandparents fled. And so those are the things that they're uncomfortable with. So Obama didn't really mention policy. He didn't mention economy. He said, oh, they're evangelicals and they will look over all the awful things about Trump in order to say, hey, we don't like gay marriage and we don't like abortion, and he's gonna represent us there. So that's why he's our man. So he does a similar thing with the Black community. And instead of talking policy, he has his reasons. So why is he saying that Black men don't support went ahead and supported Trump. And so he was talking about how the macho perspective. And when I was telling my mom about this, it was pretty funny because she actually understood me. Thought I said that Obama was macho, and she's like, Obama's not macho. I'm like, no, I'm not talking about Obama. He's definitely not macho. She's like, oh yeah, I was fixing to say because Obama ain't macho. And so I agree that people are look to or are in an allure of strong men, and they want someone who they can feel is going to be a leader. I mean, obviously he is, whoever is the president is the commander in chief. So you want someone to feel confident about keeping the country safe and so on. You don't want someone who's going to come off as some kind of big giant wuss. So, so I agree to a point with that stuff, but it still doesn't make any sense. And to not consider any kind of policy, it's just silly when you think about the fact that Trump competed against a woman in 2016. So if people were just attracted to who was more macho, why did his support from the Black community double this time around? Especially since he was going up against another man. So that doesn't make any sense either. But Obama, he could always just mention, hey, it's the economy, stupid. Trump, it's the policies. Trump, there's the First Step Act, that prison reform was a really important thing, a Black issue. It was it meant a lot of things to a lot of people. To some people, it's not as big as a deal as others, but that was something that was talked about a lot. We had the lowest Black unemployment in history recorded. We had they funded historically Black colleges. They did opportunity zones with the tax cuts. That wasn't just for corporations. Normal day, everyday Americans, middle class, lower class, upper class, everybody, just about everybody got a tax cut. The New York Times put out a chart saying that there's a big mental gap. A lot of people don't realize that they had tax cuts, but a lot of people did receive them. And then they also got they doubled the child tax credit. So a lot of people were doing well economically under Trump. And Obama once wrote a paper that he co-authored it in college, and he made a comment about how the American dream is to be Donald Trump. I'm paraphrasing. If you say that's a direct quote, people will write a dozen fact check stories, but that's the premise. The premise is that there's people who look toward having more and believe that they can have more, and they strive towards something like a Donald Trump, who is very successful and very rich. And so that's why Trump was popular pop culture. He was in a lot of rap songs and so on. And so economically, there's people who may not be rich, but they have aspirations, they have dreams, they want to do well for themselves, they want to do well for their families and their friends and their community, and they're hoping, even though they may be living outside of Chicago and they see, all this stuff on the news, and they may not think they can get anywhere in life. They might have something like a family chili recipe that's really good, and they'll keep working and working and working, and they may be able to bottle, put in a can and sell it one day and make a big empire and be able to take care of their family and their friends and achieve their own slice of the big American dream and have their own empire and something to leave to their kids. The Bible says a good man, he leaves inheritance to his children. Some people think that if you're a rich person that you just can't make it to heaven, or like I've seen people make that argument. That's not true. And not to get too deep with theology or anything like that, but it's not immoral to be rich, and it's not bad to be rich. And that's why a lot of people like Trump, because he's just unapologetic with his success. And that's how a lot of people want to feel. But if you flash back to Obama back in when he was running for president and he had that brush up with Joe the plumber, the Joe the plumber was like, hey, I'm about to buy this business and I'm going to be making X amount of dollars. With your plan, I would actually be paying more. And so Obama was just kind of like, well, think back to when you had less. Wouldn't you have liked to have someone give you more money? And And he said a comment like, and I don't think this was a joke, but on the campaign trail, he says, not that I want to punish your success. It is punishing success. And he said in the past, I think in 98, at a college somewhere, he said that he does believe in redistribution of wealth. That's what he believes to some degree. So that's his philosophy. So, and it's not bad to want to help people, but here's the thing. Would you rather have money yourself and be able to give back yourself, do charity, whether you put your time and your money and you build up stuff, you encourage other entrepreneurs and have the freedom to do that yourself? Or would you rather the government tax you at half, maybe even 60% of everything that you have? And then politicians, lobbyists, because these politicians listen to lobbyists, they're friends, bureaucrats and all, and have all those people decide how to divvy up your hard-earned money, and maybe just a little chunk might get back to the people back in your own community. Would you rather have the freedom to be able to make change yourself, or have the government confiscate it via taxes and make decisions, and maybe it might get back to your community? I would much rather be able to make those decisions myself. So progressives like him and Biden, who are like, the rich need to pay their fair share. What's fair? You really think taking more than half of what someone else made is fair? That's not fair. And it's not, I don't know why would you think it's necessarily moral, and it's not, and you say, well, you should just do it, or you should just be okay with the government taking your money. It's not charitable when you take it. Encourage people to be charitable. You know, people, everyday Americans are very charitable. Christian, they're taught, I mean, if you believe in tithing, you at least give your 10% and you give offerings and on top of that and other stuff. And you can be faithful in that way, and you can give back in other ways and give your time and more money, and give to your fire department, give to the police department, give to help local businesses, help people who are starting businesses, give blood, work at a shelter, donate socks, and there's just a lot of ways that you can help people. But if someone else is just taking your stuff to divvy it up to other people, that's not charity. And I know that they're like Christians for Biden feel like we should be able to tax people and then divvy it up other ways. That's not charity. When the government is just doing it and it's not coming out of people's hearts, doing it for ministry, doing it for people, that's not the gospel. That's just redistribution of wealth. So yeah, I think people who want success would feel better kind of doing the Donald Trump I won't apologize for my success. And then he does like shows and stuff like The Apprentice that gives back with a lot of money, but he did that way before The Apprentice as well. And he had a pretty open door policy. People come in and talk about stuff and he write out checks. He did a lot of stuff for people, even for Black people that people don't even know. Judge Joe Brown was talking about how Black people in the 80s were trying to get loans. And when they couldn't get loans from the bank, they said, go see Donald Trump. And so Trump would be like, well, just write out everything. And then they would, give him his papers or whatever. He's like, okay, this is what you owe me. And then he's like, yeah. And he would take the check and tear it up. And he'd be like, congratulations, go run your business. And so, and I hadn't heard that story from anyone besides Judge Joe Brown. And I'm just like, I don't understand what's wrong with the Trump campaign, because I know the good thing about charity is that, if you're doing it, you shouldn't be doing it for praise, but I would be telling stories like that because the media just paints him as some kind of monster. So I think that a lot of people would relate to success on Trump's level or want to achieve success in that kind of way, rather than going through the Obama, oh, you're successful now, I'm going to tax the crap out of you, boy. Like, why would people be attracted to that? And you know what? That is a policy issue. So that's back to policy. But what he said about the people in pop culture and the awful things that they rap about and disregarding women, and seeing an example like that with Trump and saying, hey, that's who I want to emulate, so I'm going to go ahead and pick him. That's crazy. That's absolutely crazy. And I thought it was ironic, though, because they were all tight and friends with pop culture. I mean, the Obamas are so ingrained with pop culture and just wanted to be famous and wanted to have those people around them and invite them to the White House. And Michelle Obama, they asked her if she could trade places with anybody, and she said Beyonce. I mean, this woman is the first lady of the United States, and she said she wanted, if there's anyone else in the world she want to trade places with, she said Beyonce. Miss, I'm gonna put scriptures of the Holy Bible in my vagina, Beyonce. Yes, that isn't a song. Yes, that isn't a Beyonce song. Look it up. Yeah, that's who she said she would want to trade places with. So, and think about the people who did support Trump and who are rappers. I don't know if Lil Wayne voted for Trump, but he met with him at the White House and said he believes that he wants to help. So I know Lil Wayne writes some filthy stuff from passing. I don't really listen to secular music much, but he seems like, from interviews and other stuff that I can gather, that he seems like a pretty nice guy. So Obama alleging that people like him who are in that profession, who are in the pop culture and look at the stuff that they write about, I don't think he's going toward Trump because he's like, yeah, he disrespects women, so I'm going to vote for him. No one does that. No one does that. I'm going to play this clip of something Michelle Obama said after Trump won in 2016 before I bring on my good friend Tony. Because they act like Republicans, or particularly Trump, disrespects women, and they think that these rappers are somehow attracted to Trump because he's made remarks in the past and stuff. But when you say comments like, if you voted for Trump, you don't know your own voice and you're disregarding women, that's pretty disrespectful. So there's a lot of other ways that you can be disrespectful to women, especially that you disagree with. So I'm going to go ahead and play this clip.
Well, Michelle Obama has strong words for women who didn't vote for Hillary Clinton last year. During a question and answer session at a conference in Boston, the former First Lady said, quote, any woman who voted against Hillary Clinton voted against their own voice. Michelle Obama campaigned for Clinton during the election, urging supporters to, quote, go high when their opponent went low. Despite her comments, she says she still wants President Trump to be successful.
Yeah. So I remember when she made that comment, and she wasn't the only one. Hillary Clinton made comments like that. And there are all these different panels and people are like, oh, white women let us down. I can't believe all these women voted for Trump. They spoke against their own voice. And you had people like Taylor Swift when Marsha Blackburn won. She was like, she doesn't care about women or women's issues. I'm like, first of all, if you only believe that an important woman's issue is that if you can't abort your child, then that's a problem. Like there's issues beyond that. There's issues beyond that. That's not the only important thing to women. That's an egregious thing to a lot of women. It's a pretty, from statistics that I've seen, I believe it's pretty much 50-50 split on that. But I think it should be, like, for what we know about fetal development, like I said, I think it's pretty barbaric, but I won't go down the, life rabbit hole right now. But to just disregard a bunch of women and say we don't at least know our own voice and we voted against our own interests, you won't even take the time to acknowledge or even listen to why we did not support Hillary Clinton or why we might have voted for Obama and decided that we didn't like him anymore. I never voted for Obama, and I'm proud to say that, though voting for John McCain didn't give me any peace at the end, but but I'm going to go ahead and bring my good friend Tony on right now. Hey, Tony, how you doing?
Hey, how's it going? And so happy to be on Black Tea News. And since I'm on Black Tea, I figure I might as well partake in some so we can feel it all today. You feel what I'm saying? So good to see you, my sister.
No, it's good to spill the tea. So I sent you what Obama said, and I want to know what your thoughts are as a young Black man. I don't know if you consider yourself that young, but in politics, there's people old as dirt. So you are quite young in politics.
I am. I am.
So how do you feel about how Obama characterized you?
I'm gonna tell you right away. I thought it was funny, but it was insulting at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
Because number one, he stereotyped black men, you know, by suggesting that it was rap music that got us to, you know, vote for Donald Trump. You know, like silly. You know, all black folks don't listen to rap music like that or hip hop, because I'm old enough to remember a day when before hip hop was a mainstream term, it was always called rap music.
Yeah.
You know, by the late 80s, early 90s, that's when the term hip hop really hit everywhere. So anyway, my whole point is, I mean, yeah, I grew up listening to rap music, and you know, I'm a little familiar with the current hip hop scene, so to speak, but I wasn't looking to rappers to tell me who to vote for.
Yeah.
If anything, I thought it was very interesting and intriguing that I started seeing more rappers leaning towards Donald Trump, or had given some kind of compliment or glowing endorsement.
Yeah.
Well,
I think because Democrats, they parade out their celebrities. We found out in 2016 celebrity endorsements didn't mean that much, because they did that really hard, and then with the electors, they put out people. They did their star-studded DNC event or whatever, and RNC had, you know, just everyday Americans. So but I think at least with some of the rappers that came out, that people maybe felt like, I think people were leaning toward Trump anyway, but maybe they felt like, oh, maybe it's okay to talk about it now.
Yeah.
Because it just was a little more mainstream. I don't think it influenced actually anybody to vote, but maybe the people who were Trump curious to go, let me see a little bit.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. Let me just kind of take it back on my take on where we are today based on the past couple election cycles.
Mm-hmm.
So to kind of give you my background, by 2008, and even before that, I had become an independent.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, I wasn't always Republican. I
knew that.
Believe that. Right. But my journey into conservatism began during my college years. I went to Wayne State University, and I was a political science major. But the funny part about all that is I began to learn more about the American political process outside of the classrooms. I watched I was watching Christian television program in Detroit, a local Christian television program, and a guy named David Barton from Wall Builders was on there, and he gave a historical account on both political parties, and I was blown away. And by that, you know, at that age, in my early 20s, hey, I'm a Democrat like everybody else in Detroit, you know, like my family. And I assumed, oh, they're for the little guy. They're the ones who, you know, who fought for the end of slavery. It was the complete opposite. So I was shocked. And I felt lied to. I felt mad. So I emotionally reacted and said, you know, I'm going to be Republican. But then I stopped myself and I backed up and said, you know what? Why don't I just be an independent and let both sides, you know, I'm going to let them compete for my vote. So let's scoot all the way up into 2008. All right. Let's just jump all the way to 2008. McCain, Obama. And for me, I felt like I didn't have much to choose from. I felt like I had to flip a coin. I felt like I was pulling teeth, even though I saw and sensed the momentum that Barack Obama was having. I noticed how the media glowingly endorsed him. I mean, they went out of their way to give stories. Even when he had some kind of opposition, like when his pastor, you know, he was known for being very fiery and controversial with his comments and things of that nature. That didn't sway people. That just emboldened them more to vote for Barack Obama. So I kind of noticed how the media really pushed for him. Mm-hmm. And so for me, I'm literally in the voting booth. The last thing I voted for was president. I'm just like, who in the world do I vote for? And so at that point, I just said, okay, I'm going to do Obama, but I'm not 100% sure about him. And then, of course, my eyes really began to be open. And one thing, you know, about in the Black community, if you just mildly criticize or mildly disagree with a Democrat, and then God forbid, don't let it be a black Democrat, you're an enemy. Oh, you must be a Republican. Like, I ain't neither. I'm just asking a question. Like, for example, what was it? He wasn't even president for like 100 days, and he was already nominated for the Nobel Peace Prize or something like that. And so I went to church and we was about to have rehearsal a little bit before our choir rehearsal, and somebody was talking about it. And so I just asked a question. I said, so what did he do to win a Nobel Peace Prize? And the person went, oh, I don't know what he did, but he must have did something. He did something. I'm just like, so wait a minute. He didn't do, we don't know what he did to earn it. Yeah, he did something. He must have did something to earn it. And then I just, and I did kind of, I should have not have said this, but I went with it anyway. I says, well, how can, and this was my budding conservatism, okay, by this time. So I goes, well, how can he win a peace prize when he's a staunch supporter for abortion, killing babies? Oh, don't you talk about my president. Don't you talk. And it went all downhill from there.
Yeah.
And that's when I really began to understand that there's a hive, gang, mob-like mentality, tribalistic mentality with blacks and Democrats. And then with with Barack Obama being, pardon the term, but this chocolate messiah, this unicorn, it was like, you can't touch him. You can't talk. Don't you talk. This whole my president started here. My president stuff. I hate that. That's so childish.
When Trump had just, I think it was a day of his inauguration, and I mentioned something about Obama, and someone was like, take his name out your mouth.
Yeah.
And they're like, why are you talking about Obama? Obama's not even president anymore. I'm like, he has been not the president for like 2 hours. What are you talking about?
Oh,
like,
God, that's funny.
Trump has not been able to institute like any policy, and you're like, I can't even mention anything about Obama, who was president like 2 hours ago. Are you serious?
Hilarious.
Like, people were so sensitive about it, just really oversensitive. Now people can be super sensitive about Trump, but but everybody who really likes Trump, they'll stick up for him. Like, but they acknowledge he'll have flaws and stuff. Like, people who support Obama just they legit like are like blotting out his scandals, and like, he had the most cleanest administration ever. I'm like, I'm good for you. You weren't targeted by the IRS, or you weren't a reporter who was listed as a criminal because you wouldn't disclose a source and had your stuff looked into and tapped. And
right. Right. And check this out. Here's what I did. When Trump won, and for the either just before the inauguration or just after inauguration, I put up first thing I did, I put up a picture of Barack Obama and his family. And I invited at first, I say, hey, I thanked Barack Obama, through the message, like, hey, I thank him, for his service, even though I didn't agree with everything he did or most of the stuff he did, I still respected the office and respected him enough. And, I invited people to, hey, let's keep this man, his family, and his prayers afterwards. All right. Because, hey, I'm a Christian first.
Yeah.
So before I'm anything, I'm a Christian first. That's what drives me. That's what dictates, how I think and move and believe. So right after that, I did one with Donald Trump. I found a picture of him and his family. I asked people, hey, here's our new president. I'm inviting everybody to please pray for him, even if you agree or disagree. And the people who, commented on the Obama thing, everybody was like, oh, I love it. I truly respect your decency and this and that and the other. And they was like, oh, which was good, right? But as soon as I put up something for Donald Trump and say, hey, I invite everybody to pray for him, I had a couple people go, oh, I'm not praying for him. And I'm just like, really? And then I would have one person go, oh, I pray for everyone. I says, okay, I understand that, but I'm asking you to pray for him. Please pray for him. It cracks me up when you want to be bipartisan when it ain't time to be bipartisan, so to speak. But when you're being specific and you're asking for a prayer request for somebody, now it's like, oh, I don't like him, so I'll just pray for everybody. No, stop that. It's like, we need to be more politically mature in this country. As much as I don't agree with Joe Biden, I don't hate the man. I don't wish death on him. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
With Barack Obama, as much as I disagree with him, I don't hate him. I don't wish death on him. I pray for him. I do think if he was wrong on stuff, if this whole stuff about maybe Trump being spied on when he was running, maybe that needs to be looked at. But I'm still not wishing death on him, man. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
And so, just going further into, what's happening now and currently, to go back to, Barack Obama's comments. I still thought his comments were still a bit in poor taste. And if you notice the way he talks, it's kind of, to me, it can be very snaky because he's really,
Yeah.
really, really good with articulating and giving his points out. The way he's a very effective communicator. I'll give him credit for that. However, when you discern what he's saying, it comes off very sneaky, very snaky. One minute he's kind of like, I'm taking this dig, but then I'm gonna swing back to, like black voters, American voters are complicated. Nah, don't try to play that game with me. Don't try to play that game. Don't try to placate me and insult my intelligence. You just got through saying that, he appealed to the kind of men that are macho and they're stereotypical. Like what? Now the last
Yeah.
like
Well, I
the
was
last-
going to say, I made this point before you got on. I said that doesn't even make sense when you analyze it, because if that was like the reason why so many black men jumped on, why does he have a higher vote running against another man than he did running against a woman? If you're like going with what is macho, I do agree that men are attracted to men. I mean, not attracted to, but
Yeah, I get what
I
you're
guess some
saying.
men, but
Right.
but they respect or revere or jive with other men who are strong figures.
Yeah, the appeal that he had amongst some black voters, and it is just about what black male voters and male voters in general, men in general, we're logical by nature. We're more logical. You know what I'm saying? So when it all comes down to it, we're like, hey, you got to show me. If you're a man of your word, you're saying this is going to happen. Okay, I'm looking for that. But you got to show me better than you can tell me. Don't try to stroke my ego or blow smoke in my ears. Now I don't want to hear that. I want to see where's the real results at. And I think a lot of Americans, really in general, over the years, are sick and tired of politicians making promises and they don't keep them. They talk a real good game. That like how people are criticizing Trump about, oh, he's not presidential. He sounds so stupid. He sounds this. You know what it is? No, it's just he sounds like you and me. He's blunt. That's what I liked about him. I wanted somebody's yay to be yay and their nay to be nay. And what I've seen from Donald Trump, I was like, okay, I can respect that. He's followed through with what he said.
Yeah.
Period. For anyone to call him, like, for example, for anyone to call him a racist, I think it's hilarious. The man wasn't a racist when he was running with Al Sharpton and Jesse Jackson, taking pictures with Rosa Parks and the NAACP, giving millions of dollars, working with everybody. The reason why a lot of these rappers had an appeal and a respect for Donald Trump because they were admiring the position that he was in. He's a man with his own money. He can control his own destiny, because here's the thing that Obama fails to mention. In the music business, and I'm a musician and I'm a singer. I've been singing and playing music for a combined almost 30 years now. I've been doing it since I was 10. In the music business, and if you watch any of those movies about any performers, entertainers, especially black entertainers, like in the New Edition movie, it was very revealing. The way they did those contracts. Remember TLC? They're getting pennies to the dollar every record they make, and then they're already owing before they even see a real profit. And so I think that's what a lot of those like rappers and entertainers were admiring about Donald Trump. They was like, I hope I can be like a Trump where I can control my own music.
That's one reason why Tyler Perry is so successful and has so much money, even though people aren't always impressed with the qualities of his wigs. But he's like, I don't care. I got another movie to make and I got more scripts to write. And I have my hands on all these projects. And that's why he has so much income, because he does so much stuff himself.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think controlling your that's a really good point, that that attracts people to that idea. And it wasn't just rappers. I remember when Yolanda Adams was like stuck in some really bad contracts and not getting a lot of money, and she's like the best in the biz as far as the gospel world.
Yes, she's a great. I mean, I'm glad you mentioned her. To this day, one of my favorite albums of hers is Through the Storm.
Mm-hmm.
The first album I remember from her. But yeah, even in gospel music, man, it's a cutthroat, shady business. Unfortunately, I hate to say it like that. Well, it can be shady, so let me slow down. But yeah, even in there, man, it could get really, really bad. So with a guy like Donald Trump, he represents like a self-made man. And a lot of men, in general, what drives us is being able to, if you can't control nothing, you want to have more control of your own money, even if it means saving it better and building it. We love that idea. You know what I'm saying? Even if we don't want to have our own business, we want to be able to say my money is working for me. You know, that's why you're seeing now all these investment clubs and groups, because everybody's sick of being on a hamster wheel. And the thing that I love about the Trump administration is one of the things that drew me to him even more was the idea that I had about government. We need to get back to a place of simplicity at every level of government. We need to get back to a place of simplicity in our policies and the way we roll out things. Sometimes these guys are passing bills, you know, taxing just to be taxing us, you know, regulating just for the sake of regulating. And one thing that Donald Trump said, I remember in one of his campaign speeches, the first time he ran, he said, for every new regulation we bring to the federal government, we cutting out too. I was like, oh, that's awesome. That's the kind of simplicity I'm talking about. The simplifying the tax code, you know, cutting down those brackets. Hey, I love that. Because let me tell you what happened to me and my wife, you know, 12 years ago, man. When Obamacare rolled out, we had two choices, either to pay health insurance or pay rent. We couldn't do both. And during that time, we both had part-time jobs, living in an apartment. We had only been married about 3-4 years. So you're talking about a young, newlywed couple, and they're stuck in an economy to where, okay, I have college, but then they want experience.
Yeah. And
I can't even, you know, they don't want to pay for training. That was the era we lived under. And that was the Obama era.
The Obama era was hard for a lot of people, and it was really hard for my family back then too. But I mean, a lot of us were younger and stuff, and not. I mean, we're farther along and stuff in different careers and stuff. So I mean, that's one thing to consider. But I remember my dad had this big van, and gas was astronomical. I mean, it was just killing us.
Gas was the devil.
And that was one thing that was kind of by design. They were kind of hoping that we could push people into not having these gas guzzlers, and they don't want people to have gas cars. But I'm like, yeah, people will use electric cars if it makes sense to have them, price wise and for maintenance. If it makes sense, like doing things naturally with the economy, if you have natural results, and the capitalism always wins. It always wins. But trying to force people into positions where you have to do like all this Green New Deal stuff or Newsom signing executive orders trying to ban like sales of cars with, you know, that take gas. Just let the economy and innovation do its natural work. Don't try to force things along that are going to force people into a bad economic situation. Just let stuff escalate naturally. Like if the economy is good, people are hiring, people will raise wages so they can have good workers. You don't have to raise unemployment and at the expense of small business owners who aren't ready to rise to that level. You don't have to force them out of business to get people to have good wages. And so people on the left don't understand that. They think the ends always justifies the means, but you get to the end and it's chaos.
Exactly, it's chaos, and they're really picking and choosing the winners and losers at that point. And for those who are already losing, they're going to lose even more. And I saw that, and within that time frame, by 2012, that's when I wound up just accepting being Republican. I voted for Mitt Romney. You know, he was the second Republican that I had voted for ever in my life. The first one was George W. Bush in his 2004 campaign. But at this point in my life, I had begun to embrace and accept. No, I take that back. Mitt Romney was the third Republican I had voted for, because I voted for Rick Snyder. Because by that time, I had just begun to embrace my conservatism, the ideals that I had. I liked the idea of keeping more of my own money.
Mhm.
I liked the idea of job creation, etc., and so on. So I was disappointed that Romney had lost, because I thought Obama worked really hard to not be reelected. It showed, in my opinion, but it didn't happen that way. So I at that point I says, okay, you know what? People keep saying I'm a Republican. Fine, I'll be a Republican. It's just what it is. And what really helped me is I read a book called Frederick Douglass Republicans by K. Carl Smith, and that really gave me the encouragement and the green light to really accept that and be open to it. And that's when I started getting involved politically, almost right away. But what I did also hoped and predicted was that the next Republican presidential candidate that will come around, they have to fight like a liberal, beat them at their own game. And then little did we know, here's Donald Trump, this plain talking, blunt guy who, doesn't apologize, for being who he is, and men in general, I think for the most part, we respect that. We respect a man who stands on his own 2 feet and who's not afraid to push and carve out his own destiny, to make something happen for himself. And I think with guys like Donald Trump, he can rub somebody the wrong way, because he has a certain strength on him that some men wish they had or they don't like, because they operate their strength in a different way. No, Trump's thing is, I'm the leader of the pack. I believe in myself. There was something that Barack Obama had said in the article that I read, and it said something about I guess he was criticizing wealth being someone's worth. Well, here's the thing, and this is why you got to pay attention to Barack's kind of like sneaky rhetoric. Just flip that around. You know what it is? The reason why Donald Trump has his wealth and is where it is because he valued his worth first. He knew his worth. He knew who he was. So that's why he can name his price.
Yeah, that is actually very a good point about Trump, because I mean, most of his, he of course he's in the real estate, but really he became so huge is because he understood the value of his brand. Mm-hmm. And going out, doing different kind of interviews, going out different TV shows, making fun of himself sometimes, doing different articles, doing shows like The Apprentice. Mm-hmm. But he knew the value of raising up his brand. So as he built his brand, having his name on a building became a bigger issue, a bigger thing that got him and other people more money. And so when people say, oh, Trump wine and Trump steaks and other stuff went bankrupt and he's not a good businessman, I'm like, okay, you name 6 things. He has 500 subsidiaries. I'm like, that doesn't seem like a bad thing.
He's got businesses everywhere. I mean, a lot of successful men and women have failed. I mean, I think
he failed and then wrote a book about the art of the comeback. And I don't know how many copies he sold, but obviously he made a lot of money from that book about coming back from his greatest failure. And it's so funny that when in 2016 they brought that up, oh, Trump lost $1 billion, and it's just that's what his book is about.
Right.
But it was always funny to me when they reintroduce new old information as if it was some kind of big scandal, when they reintroduced the Trump not paying taxes thing. And it's we've been down this road before, guys.
right And then on top of that, why are they ignoring all the politicians that do the same thing? All the people they avoid paying taxes. Here's where Mitt Romney really screwed up when he ran, because he could have beat Obama, but he didn't have that. He didn't have that fight in him, huh?
The Trump always called him a choker.
Right. He ain't had no dog in him, because when he had the opportunity to slam Obama in one of those debates, one thing that he brought up that nobody ever thought about, he said, "Hey, Barack, you have offshore accounts, don't you?" And then the media, and then the moderator stepped in. Okay, we're not doing all that. Oh, so because your boy Obama y'all want to protect him. Y'all told, Mitt back off. Now you want to be a referee. So it's like, it was those moments like Obama's an elitist too. Y'all keep claiming you hate elitists, but you love them just the same. Just because Barack looks like us, here's what I say about him with Obama from my observation over the years. It's kind of become like a pet peeve of mine. Israel wanted a king and they got Saul. America wanted a black president and we got Obama. Because black folks say, I want somebody that look just like me. Maybe white Americans or non-black Americans, well, it'd be nice to have somebody other than a white guy to be president. So nobody bothered to check this man's credentials soon enough. And a few people who did, they blasted him. Guys like Dinesh D'Souza, Obama,
they put him in jail.
Yeah, use the weight of the federal government.
That's not why he went to jail on paper. Right. On paper, on paper, that's not why he went to jail, but we all know why he went to jail.
Right. Right. Because there was another guy who like gave like $1 million, across other places. So, and it didn't even get a sniff of trouble. So I don't deny that what Dinesh did, it was against the rules, but he was honest about it. He dealt with it. But that whole thing was an insult, but Dinesh had been out of this guy. And I think that's why, like, Obama hated that guy. He hates anybody who can really dish the truth out on him and calls him out. And then you can see, in my opinion, when that happens, when Obama is criticized accurately and factually, he can't take it. That's a weak spot for him because that's his ego. So people who talk about Donald
he is the egomaniac. It's so funny when he was at the DNC convention trashing Trump and just one thing after another, he was saying like, oh, he like the whole world is like his reality TV, stage. I'm just like, did you go on Running Wild with Bear Grylls? How many times do you go on Jimmy Fallon and all those guys? Like he enjoys the celebrity limelight. He enjoys the adoration. He made up this lie about he's the one who started peddling that I've had no scandals. And everyone's like, yes, that's true. I'm like, okay, I can pull up videos with the media saying, here's the Obama scandal. And I'm not talking about Fox. I'm talking about CNN, Jake Tapper, other people saying, we're going to discuss this scandal. And they didn't consider them all scandals the way that Republicans did, but they did acknowledge that some were actual scandals. So he's the one who started this whole myth about him never having any scandals at all. That is a him thing. Did he ever get caught cheating on his wife or something like that? No, nothing like that happened. But there were actual scandals or political scandals that really mess with people's lives. For example, Obamacare, like going back to the like his whole comments and stuff like that about acting like people related or rappers related to the disrespect of women and other people. Like, how disrespectful can you be going around the country lying to Americans about if you like your doctor, you can keep your doctor. Exactly. If you like your insurance, you can keep your insurance. Exactly. Knowing good and well, if they were honest about the policies, that this thing would have never passed. And as a matter of fact, that's exactly what the architect of Obamacare said. If the American people knew how this worked, there's no way we could have passed it. And he called it the stupidity of the American voter.
He sure did.
So those are the kind of people that Obama, kind of person he is, the kind of person he associates with. So if you want to talk about respect and lack of respect, something like that.
I mean, that was 2 slaps to the face, you know what I'm saying, on the same side. So, and that kind of stuff really bothered me. So when I hear him, kind of catering to this beta male mentality that's trying to, because that's where it came off to me, like on the inverse. He's basically encouraging men to be beta males. don't the whole lead from behind. You know how he was operating as a president. What, you're the leader of the free world. Why would you even give the green light to something like that? What man wants to lead from behind? There's nothing noble about that. You lead, period. In my household, I've been married now for 12 years. I'm married to my middle school, high school, college sweetheart. I can't afford to lead from behind. You know how my wife would look at me if I just let her, if I just said, baby, you make all the decisions. I'm a man, but you know what? You're a leader too. So you can just go ahead and make all the decisions. No. When she married me, she entrusted me she took my ring, she entrusted me. She took my leadership, she took my name. So I took on the responsibility telling her mother, her family, I want you to entrust me in taking care of your daughter, your loved one, to lead my household, to help me, assist me in my family. But make no mistake, I'm going to be responsible. I'm going to take the lead. And see, that's what Donald Trump represents. He represents a man who's not afraid to lead.
Yeah.
And you know what? Yeah, he's human. He's made mistakes. God knows I've made mistakes. You know what I'm saying? I've made some bad choices. I've said things I should not have said. If anything, that's what makes him so appealing, because he's imperfect like the rest of us. He doesn't mince words. Sometimes he won't apologize if he believes he's doing something that's right. Like right now, he's not going to apologize for demanding things to be, the votes to be recounted and the audits and all of that, because he knows what he knows. He's like, hey, I know we won. Real men do that. See, they're not used to a Republican, and just speaking politically, they're not used to a Republican, especially a Republican man, bringing a fight to them like he's doing.
Yeah, I think that's really the issue why so many people dislike Trump, because he had the audacity to fight back on a lot of issues, a lot of things. As far as like the whole vote thing, we'll see how all that plays out, because there's another thing about what you know and what you can prove. But I do know, I think there's a lot of shady stuff that people did leading up to the election. I don't know how much they'll be able to prove in court was actually illegal and so on. And we just had a 5-4 decision in the Supreme Court about a First Amendment issue. So I just don't see them overturning a lot of votes. So but I would love a different result. But when stuff started to happen, especially like the next day on the 4th and the 5th, and people were calling me who were at like the TFC Center and some of the stuff that they witnessed, I'm like, Trump cannot actually just concede right now. People will pitch a fit. So they got to at least investigate some stuff. He did a recount like Wisconsin, which that sucks, doing a recount and they don't audit and look at the signatures like that. It's like a waste of $3 million.
Yeah.
I'd be so bad.
Yeah, me too. And see, that's another thing I love about this man. He's so savvy, even with the way he deals with money, even the way he's dealing with this. The man's got certain principles. Like, no, wait, we're not gonna operate like that. We're gonna operate like this. He knows what he wants. He knows what he's doing. And he's gonna go after it. And that's the whole art of the deal thing with him. He acts for the most ambitious thing to get the most desired result. Mm-hmm. And like I said, again, it's the fighter in him. Yeah. I think, like I said, to some men, I think they see that like, you know what, I can appreciate the leadership like that. Someone who fights for what he believes in or what he knows is his or what he's earned. Every man, and I think every man should have that kind of mentality. If you want something bad enough, you fight for it. You stand up for it. You can't be afraid to speak your mind, to speak up and take a stand. And that's something that's lacking nowadays, because like I said, we're in this little, I don't even want to call it an era, because I'm not going to give it that kind of credit or space, but we're in this little weird time period where somehow a man being more effeminate is somehow honorable, that is acceptable. And I'm sorry, it isn't. And I'm just going to say this, and if people get mad, hey, they can just be mad. But no real man will wear a dress, period. That's not manhood. That's not masculinity. People
are mad at Candace Owens, and Miley Cyrus's little sister called her a nappy blankety blank. And
all kind of racist
people are mad at like, whoa, what you doing calling her a nappy such and such? Just the
racism is showing. But see, that's the thing. Manhood from top to bottom is being challenged. Trying to redefine what family is, what leadership is. Somehow patriarchy is a bad word, even though God Almighty himself is okay with patriarchy, if you will. If you notice in the Bible, the whole genealogy and lineage, you have men, is men. Now that doesn't mean women aren't important. They play an important role. Sometimes women were included. Like, for instance, Mary, the mother of Jesus. Why is she so significant? Because it's actually through her family, not Joseph, that Jesus comes from. You know what I'm saying? So it's like all those little things that God does. Mm-hmm. But it's not a sin to be a man. It's not a sin to be a manly man, a man's man, or even to some degree a quote unquote macho man. My father, my grandfather, they're manly men, they're men's men. I look up to them. You know what I'm saying? My dad He's like my Superman. You know what I'm saying? He's a hero. You know, I have much love and respect for your father. They don't apologize for being manly men. They taught me to be a man, you know. When I was, you know, about to get married and stuff, they told me, hey, when you get married, you be the man in your relationship. Now they weren't talking about being domineering or chauvinistic or hateful, which is the silliness that people are trying to claim, but you know, out there in the world today in pop culture. But no, there's nothing wrong with being a man and leading your home. And then more importantly, as a Christian, leading my family in the fear and admonition of the Lord. You know, I love my wife with the love of the Lord. I love her as Christ loved and died for the church. I lay my life down, you know, for my wife. You know, she gets
and that's a really important scripture. I mean, and not to get like too biblical, but you brought it up, and we're here anyway. But no, people are always like, what men's supposed to do and women are supposed to submit. Like, yeah, women can submit, but did you miss the part where it's like, men, you have to lay down your life? So it's like, oh, women, you can do stuff for your husband, but men, you got to die for your
Yeah. Hey, this one comedian, I think his name was Bill Burr. He made this hilarious joke, and I loved it, but it was so true at the same time. And he was saying that, like, why do I think the question was, why do men make more money and this and that? And so he goes, in the unlikely event that if we're on the Titanic and it's about to sink, for some jacked up reason, all the women and children get on the lifeboat and the men have to stay. It's like, yeah, exactly. That's how it goes. As men, I mean, we die sooner. And a lot of times it's because we work ourselves to the bone.
And take more dangerous jobs too.
Yeah. 4 years ago, I lost my stepfather. All right. His name was David. I love that man with all my heart. He was a hardworking man. You know, even though he didn't make a whole lot of money or as much and as often, he worked hard, you know what I'm saying, for us and my mother. And he did everything possible, man. I mean, he loved us, you know, just freely. You know what I'm saying? He had his ways, but there was no question. He loved us. He loved my mother with all his heart. You know, I kind of get some of my zeal and enthusiasm for the love of my wife because of him. And when he got sick and died, you know, a good part of it's because he would get up early, 4, 5, 6 in the morning every day to get to work. And sometimes he had to be at work until 9 o'clock. He was that kind of guy, like, okay, I can't just leave out 30 minutes before. That don't make sense. I got to be on time. He had a schedule, you know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. He had leukemia. You know, it hit him at first. He took his medicine, you know, then he was all right. And then all of a sudden came back on him. And, you know, his brother was just saying, like, you know, he just worked himself so much. He will go to work sick at times. Sometimes we didn't even know. So it's that kind of stuff, that sacrifice. And that's not to say that women don't do that and can't do it. I know women have done it. But at the same time, what's happening in society, especially in America, there's this weird thing, like I said before, like it's a sin to be a man now. It's a sin to be manly. All these stupid terms like mansplaining, toxic masculinity, which is so stupid. There's no such thing as toxic masculinity.
Mansplaining is so stupid. It's basically, a woman is offended because a man decided to explain something. Like, and it's not, and people say, no, it's just regarding something that a woman would already know, just kind of like a condescending thing. It's like, no, people say overuse it all the time. And it's just really, really silly how much people go to. But I want to go back to Obama's comments really quick. Well, I want to answer this question really quick. Someone asked if we believe that Biden will he accept his salary. If I had to guess, I would think that he would. That's my gut instinct, that I think he probably will accept his salary. I mean, he accepted it all those other years he was in the Senate. So.
Right. But here's my question. Why wouldn't he? He's already accepted millions of dollars into Ukraine.
But I guess there's another thing. He doesn't necessarily need to, because he
he really doesn't. He's
come in other ways. So he could always try to one up Trump and follow his example and donate the salary. He could do that. So he could. So I don't really know. But back to Obama's comment. I don't think the macho part of it was really what was offensive, but going into the the rap community and the bling and the depicting women a certain way, and basically seeing Trump and saying, yeah, that's the guy, that's who I want to be. For what's so weird about the comment and nonsensical about it is Trump doesn't have the pop culture. The Democrats have that.
Yeah,
they're friends with Beyonce and Jay-Z and all those guys. Like, and if you look at someone like Lil Wayne, yeah, he's had some explicit lyrics and some stuff that's disgusting that I don't listen much to secular music, but when I see interviews with Lil Wayne, he seems like a nice guy. He doesn't push racism or anything like that. He tells this great story about this cop that saved his life, and supports the police and all this other stuff. So are you saying that someone like him is like, yeah, I'm a despicable person, like the stuff I rap about, I see Trump and these more promiscuous things that I'm into, and so I'm going to support him? So it just really assumes a lot about the people that would go ahead and support Trump, rather than it being about, yeah, I think his policies might help people, or Ice Cube, like he didn't, I doubt he voted for Trump,
right?
But who knows? But he decided to meet with him. You're going to say that people are selfish, and he decided to support him or have the appearance of perhaps supporting him because he went to go talk to them because he doesn't care about the Black community? That's not why he went there, because he does care, because he was trying to get something accomplished. So to put everybody in a kind of a bubble and say that these people are greedy and it's cool that they don't think about other people and they're ruthless and they just look out for themselves. That's not even really true about that culture anyway, because even like if you watch gangster movies and stuff like that, but and kind of this that people kind of emulate when they have this music, they at least care for their mom or their families or their communities or something like that. Right.
Look, shoot, in New Jack City, even Nino Brown passed out turkeys, you know what I'm saying, on Thanksgiving. I mean, goodness gracious. I mean, the mafia, and gangs, a lot of times they will respect churches. Sometimes they would give money. They figure, hey, I'm already doing bad out here. Let me at least, give money to somebody that's worthy of something. Now, that's not to say I'm justifying or being okay with that kind of lifestyle, because, I have family members that were in gangs and, in a drug game and all that stuff, and that's nothing to be proud of. That's not living. But
Obama generalizing these people in this kind of way and saying that they relate to Trump because of these things, that's just insulting and assuming really bad things about them, and also assuming really bad things about the motivation behind Trump. That's the thing about Obama and these other Democrats. And as long as they kind of keep ignoring the real reasons, because they're asking Obama because they want to know the real reasons, because they want to learn something. They think he has all this knowledge and so on. So he tells them this lie and gives them a packaged reason instead of saying, Trump, these people, Trump's, and he could spin it and say, I don't think he really did that much, or the economy was great because I was there first. And he could spin it that way and say these people were believed that the economy did so great because of Trump. And that's why they supported him. And they, or he's making promises that he probably won't keep with the platinum plan. And so he could spin it that way. Instead, he makes this fictitious reason about why he believes people support him, instead of acknowledging that there are real policy reasons. And he did this before with the Hispanic community, and he said, well, they're evangelicals, they're against gay marriage and abortion, and that's why they supported Trump, instead of saying, hey, maybe these guys don't like socialism.
Let's just keep it real. You know what I'm saying? They left places, for those reasons. You know what I'm saying? I mean, think about the Cubans. They're trying to get away from Castro, because of the craziness that he was putting out, putting on. I mean, think about it. If you're willing to go through the Atlantic Ocean, shark-infested waters, because your homeland is run by, crazy communists, far leftists, that's a good reason why you might be voting maybe more conservatively. And so, if I'm Cuban or Latino, I would be insulted by those comments. As a Black man, like I said, with Obama saying that kind of stuff, that's very insulting to me and very offensive. And it's sad how we don't have more people in the Black community saying, hold on, wait a minute. Nah, Bomb, you can't say that. You know what I'm saying? You really can't say that. That's not cool.
I didn't see much traction about these comments today.
Well, no, of course not. Of course, because like I said, that's the cool side of Obama. He's so subtle.
The Hispanic comments trended at least a little bit. I happened to go on Larry Elder's page, and he said something about it, and that's how I found out that he made these comments. I'm like, where did he say? Oh, he said it today. And because otherwise I wouldn't know. And the video where he says this on YouTube, of course, the comments are disabled.
Yeah, of course, yeah, because and then going back again to the black male vote, I just think a lot of those voters, some of them, it's because of the fact that they were disheartened by Obama. They didn't like the moves he made or some of the decisions, even if they couldn't quite explain or articulate. It just came off like, you know what? I see the guy on TV a lot, but I don't see no real results. That's why, like with Ice Cube. I mean, I don't like I said, I'm like you. I don't know who he voted for, if he voted at all, because remember this guy's pro-black. I think he's still like Nation of Islam. His thing is I don't trust none of them. But at the end of the day,
probably a safe position.
Right? Somebody's in this office. Somebody gonna be in this office, and somebody gotta, why I even gotta do it. I watched this interview he was on with, what was it called? Fox Soul, this Fox Soul channel, and it was these 4 black women, Lisa Ray, Vivica Fox, and there's 2 other women I couldn't remember. But they was trying to they were hounding Ice Cube, because they couldn't believe that he's even talking with Donald Trump.
And that was always so crazy to me. After Kim K got her woman out of jail, people should have been lining up like, oh, I can get something significant out of this man. I'm gonna cozy up to him, and get what I needed. Like that would be just a smart thing. But people are so bound with their hatred and the stuff that the mainstream media pumps into their brains that they can't even think rationally and just make a smart decision for themselves to get something that they may genuinely need out of life from someone who will have an open arm if you come and talk to him. So that was always just insane to me. And another thing about Obama, kind of making these comments about these rappers and his depiction of them and the pop culture, like we already acknowledged that they're on their side, but to me it's just so crazy. Like when the cuties thing happened, the media, and there was outrage, the media was going out of its way to say it's the right wingers that are upset, and there are left people who were like, no, I'm upset about this too. But the media was doing what it could to be like, no, these are right-wing people upset about. It even said like these are QAnon people upset about. It's like, no, this is just a normal thing people would be upset about. So, I mean, there's some really big perverse people in the Hollywood and music and all this other stuff, and in the media, and those people trend Democrat. I'm not saying you are immoral, whatever. And there's definitely some characters in the Republican Party, believe me. And skeletons in our closets too. Not my closet, but
no, I get what you're saying.
But a lot of these people that he's talking about, as far as their immorality and stuff that they push, are in his party. Probably got invited to the White House by him.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like, he's an insult to even them. More than they care to admit. I think there are a lot of Democrats that weren't happy with him. They dare not say it. They don't want to lose their jobs or friendships or fall out with folks, because once again, it's that tribalistic, hive mentality. Don't attack this guy. But no, he's not untouchable. You can't criticize this guy and still be who you are and what you are and have it intact. We got to get out of this place where we treat these people like they're sacred cows. I even say this to even with Donald Trump on the flip side. It's okay to disagree with him, or if you have a fair criticism. I just don't like the silliness of just emotionalism. I don't agree with that. You just being emotional about Donald Trump because you don't like his personality. Well, don't focus on his personality. Focus on what policies you disagree with. Focus on that. That's why even with Obama, I try my best to focus on his policies. And that's what I didn't agree with. But, anyway, just going back to Obama again, again, just very condescending, very insulting. It was real slick because, like I said, he is the king. To me, he's a king slick talker. He is so good with that. It's like
very talented liar too.
Yes, you gotta read it twice. Like and I do that with Obama. I especially he's giving like candid conversations. I carefully pay attention. Like, okay, wait a minute, what are you saying here? He was like, you really talking? You really think you're really trying to be the smartest guy in the room here, and you think you speaking over my head, and you're not. You know what I'm saying? He couldn't do that to no. He couldn't do that to nobody, just face to face, in my opinion.
And then it's like, and this is probably the last point because it's, we're getting kind of long. I've been on here for a while, but the thing about Obama is that, and the Democrats, is that they have this perception that if you voted for Trump, there's some kind of immorality to it.
Right.
It was for immoral reasons. And even if you're not a racist, he is a racist, and you're willing to overlook it because you want this particular thing. And so, and they don't accept that perhaps that they don't buy into the fact that he's evil or believe that he is evil. And they don't buy into they can believe that people are wrong, but they have this preconceived notion that you know that he's wrong and that he's evil and he's done all these things, but it's okay because you like with the Hispanic comment that he said, they'll overlook the comments he's made and racism and whatever because they're against gay marriage and they're against abortion, and that's what's important to them. That's not even like the top 10 things voters are like even when they looked at like things Hispanic voters were concerned about. Abortion might have skated in there, but I think it was like number 12, but it was up there. But gay marriage, you've been to evangelical events for Trump. They didn't even talk about that.
Nope.
That was not even an issue of concern at events with Christians leading it, with hundreds of and even thousands of Christians there. That wasn't a topic of a conversation, but we were talking about religious liberty, Supreme Court,
Yep. Yeah. The economy, the
prison reform.
Prison reform. Yeah. Believe it or not, the Republican Party is talking about that kind of stuff. The very thing people criticize Republicans of not doing. Now we're doing it. Now it's like, oh, you're just doing it now because of this, or you're just saying it because your Lord Trump is saying it. It's like, no, he's doing the very thing you said. And see, that's the thing. To go with Donald Trump. Donald Trump is like a brash talking athlete, like in the NFL. He's that kind of guy where if you bet him and you trash talk him, you say you can't do something, he's going to do it and then some.
Yeah.
Just to make you mad and then rub it in your face. And then all you can do is just whine and complain. But now you look silly because you said he couldn't do it. Now he's doing it. So it's like, now what? So the smartest thing people should have done was just ignore them. But they couldn't ignore him because their egos, even in the Republican Party, I'm noticing a lot of, not a whole lot, but quite a few Republicans, I think they have this thing, they want to be the smartest guy in the room. So that's why they want to count out Trump. They have tried to count out.
They want to be the smartest guy in the room, even if they're a loser in the room.
Yeah. From the primaries, even up to this whole fight with the election. It's like every time a news article come out, it's like they want to believe that. Oh, it's over. Time to phone it in. It's like sometimes I want to tell them, dude, shut up. Wait it out like the rest of us are doing. Don't give us no flack because some of us believe that he was wrong, and we just want, hey, we want to see these recounts. We want to see these forensic audits. We want this stuff to go to the courts. And if it turns out that he didn't win, fine. Some of us will be disappointed, but hey, we'll live with it. We lived 8 years with Obama.
Those were some hard years.
Yeah, and they were. We'll just have to find a way to get through with Biden if that's the case. But if it can be proven, and I believe it is getting proven, I believe evidence is coming out. My question is to all those particular Republicans who've been critical of Trump and just maybe just wanted him to go away. My question is, what do you got to say now? What if it comes out that on January 20th that is Trump giving an inauguration speech? What are you going to say now? Because my attitude is you're going to need to hold this L, and you know what? You need to shut up. Nobody wants to hear, and I'm sorry to sound like that, but you know what? You need to shut up because you spent all this time trying to be the smartest person in the room, trying to prove yourself right, and you've been wrong the whole time. And then you demonize some of the same people you run with or agree with politically, all in the name of your ego, because maybe your ego is rising up because you think you're right. Well, I'm just saying to all of you guys, just hold off right now.
Yeah, I like to kind of wait it out myself, even though I was pretty sure about like in 2016 Trump winning us all their stuff. I mean when it was announced, I was just like I was wilding out on Facebook a little bit, but like
Yeah.
but even when I was pretty confident on election night when he was ahead in Michigan and other places, I was like, oh, it's looking good. I think he's gonna win, but we'll see. And then
Yeah.
of course a couple hours later, I was like, what happened? But
Yeah. It was crazy.
but I don't want to be all braggadocious and or panic or anything until like stuff is settled. So I don't know. I don't want to be cynical about stuff, but I just got to see it. It's their case. It's their case to make. So but yeah.
Hey, I'm optimistic. You know, I'm always been like an optimistic guy, but I personally do believe, and I'm sticking to my guns on this. I believe that there's going to be victory for Donald Trump. I mean, look at the fact even at the House, they keep winning more seats with some of these contested races. At first it was, they won, they added 5-6 seats, and ever since after election, it's up to like 12 seats.
I've got to say, I think it's really odd, or maybe it's not odd because maybe it's just not reported, or Twitter's just talking about it more, and because with these seats coming in so late, but it's just, or maybe it was just because so many mailed in the ballots, and that's why it's taking so long, which was something that the president expressed, and that's one reason why I didn't want all these mail-in ballots. It's just crazy to me that we're still counting ballots all this time.
Yeah.
It's just no way to run an election. It's just crazy to me that people are still being called up until this point. There's to me, I don't understand why we can't find some kind of process to be able to know exactly how everything is going on election night. So it's not like we haven't been doing elections for a long time.
Right, exactly. Yeah, but I'm just say this is my personal prediction. I'll take the risk of being wrong, but I think the momentum is really going to shift by Christmas time. That's just my personal prediction, my gut feeling. I think it's going to be some good news. Now,
when did they meet for the Electoral College? Because I was there in Michigan when it happened, and I can't remember if it was January or if it was in December. So
I want to say, for some reason, I want to say January 2, because I remember a lot of like some of the people we knew and dealt with, they were getting letters from people.
Yes.
Like, don't cast the vote. Don't cast Electoral College vote. You know, people getting, getting death threats and everything. And so I want to say it was in January, but I believe it's supposed to be in December. Because I keep hearing December 14th. So I guess that's supposed to be the date. I guess either the state certify, all the states are supposed to be certified by, or if it's the Electoral College.
It's on the 14th. So there's not left. Well, by Christmas time, it won't matter. If there's a turn in Christmas time, it's too late by then.
Well, so which to me means that good news might be coming a whole lot sooner. But that's why I'm giving a friendly timeline to Christmas time. But you know, that's one thing about American politics. Anything can happen. Excuse me. Something's
it's 2020. Anything can happen.
It's right. It will be the most 2020 thing ever.
It would be the most 2020 thing ever.
Yeah. So with this year, all kind of, you know, anything can happen, man. It's like sports, politics. Like I'm a wrestling fan. That's a saying in the wrestling business. Anything can happen. So I think the same thing applies here. But I personally still feel good about it, and I feel confident about it. I'm still leaning on to the idea that I think Donald Trump is going to win. He's going to come away with it. And what I am going to be praying for is that if that does happen, that I'm going to be praying for the hearts and minds of people, especially those who don't want him to win. You know, I'll be praying against the rioting and the looting and the stupidity that goes on. It's like, it's silly. Why are you doing that? Why are you tearing up your own neighborhoods, tearing up stuff that does nothing? So I'll be praying about that. But if he loses, I'm not going to sit up here and cry a river neither. You know, I still
definitely not gonna cry a river, and I don't mean that because I don't love Trump, and I think he was the greatest president of my lifetime. And I think he did a lot of great things, and it was a spectacular 4 years. I mean, it's kind of hard to count this one because they did so many crazy things. But even if you just count 3, it was an amazing 3 years. But they had to throw everything in the kitchen sink at him to beat him, and if that ends up being the case, that's the case. But one comment, so true Democrats pretend to be tolerant and empowering. I find them controlling on the down low. And that's not even on the down low. That was Marion. So yeah, that's not even on the down low that they're like that. Obama is definitely, like you said, snaky and is more slick about it. But yeah, they don't. I played this clip of Michelle Obama before you came on. I don't know if you saw it, but back in 2016 when she made comments that said women who didn't vote for Hillary Clinton weren't voting for their own voice.
Yeah.
And so comments like that are just so condescending, and they don't want to accept that women and Black people, Hispanic people, we all have our own minds, and we vote on. There's a lot of people who vote for personality. There's a lot of people who vote because the news tells them, but there's a lot of people who made decisions to vote for Trump because they looked at the policies and said, that sounds like that sounds pretty good. I don't want to be, some like 50 Cent. I don't know what he did at the voting booth, or even if he went to the voting booth at all. But when he made his comments about taxing, it could be like at 60%, that's too much. He doesn't want to be like 20 cent or whatever. That was funny. And that's a policy thing. And it's a totally reasonable policy thing. People keep saying people have to pay their fair share. How is you paying more than half of what you made fair? Right.
How can you do that? I mean, it just.
Now you can ask or say that we need rich people to pitch in, but just keep pushing this. They need to pay the fair share as if they're not paying majority of the taxes anyway. That's crazy.
Yeah, because we know what's going to happen. That's just going to hit middle class and the poor anyway. That's what's going to happen. It always happens that way. So it's like, people love that concept of idea of rich folks paying more, and really that's stupid. Why would you want? Okay, it's like, I'll put it like this in a sports analogy. Why should Michael Jordan give up more than a third of his championship rings? He was the top player in his game, in the game. That's not fun. Why would you want to see something like that? Why would I want to see, let's say like the Patriots in football? Why should they lose a third of their games and give it to the Detroit Lions?
Because we need to win, darn it.
Right. We need some wins, though. Real talk. We need some wins bad. But why would we want it like that? Why should someone who has worked hard, did what they took to have what they have, like live in West Bloomfield, and why should they give their money to me? Because maybe my tax bracket is a little lower than theirs. Why should they have to do that for me? Why would I want to accept that? I'm trying to make my own way.
And then when you do make your own way, you have to pay more after you you scratched and climbed and all the other stuff to get to the top.
Yeah.
So
I told as a family member of mine said that she noticed, hey, every time I get a pay raise working where I'm working, I'm getting taxed more. And you know what I had to tell them? Hey, welcome to the Democrat Party. Welcome to the left. I'm sorry, but that's what they do. I said, I hate to say it to you like this. I said, that's why I keep saying I want to see us more, get to a place where we keep more of our own money.
But that's like Obama's doctrine when he told Joe the plumber, he's like, hey, I want to buy, to take care of this business, and I'm going to be making more money. And with your plans, I'm going to be taxed more. And Obama's just kind of like, well, yeah, but remember when you weren't making as much money, wouldn't you have liked more money?
And what that sound like? Like, I won't be that much further if I go with what you're doing. So no, nobody wants that. That's nonsensical. I'm trying to get to a place where I'm making, tens of millions of dollars. I want to get there one day, because I got a family that I want to look after. There's things on my heart that I want to do for people that I can't quite do right now. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. But if I'm in a place where I'm a man of means, I could really do it. And let me just say this about Donald Trump real quick, to go back to him. He keeps this image that he's this tough guy, right? But that man has a huge giving heart. I read this story of something happened a couple of years back. He was somewhere giving a speech or a rally or whatever. So he's in his limousine. Wherever they were at, the tire busted or something, right? So the limo driver comes out to try to fix it. Someone who lives wherever they were at just happened to be driving past, noticed that the driver was trying to fix the tire. So the guy gets out, and it must have been like somewhere rural. That's my guess. I'm not sure, but he gets out, helps them with the tire. He doesn't even know that this is a limo for Donald Trump, right? Donald Trump gets out, sees the guy, helps him. He said, "Hey, thanks a lot. What's your name?" You know, getting his information. And then all of a sudden, sometime later, the guy is getting a letter in the mail saying his house has been paid off. Donald Trump did that.
Jesus, I need that miracle.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, but that was couldn't have been a rally. That story is happened years ago, because I remember even a contestant asking about it on The Apprentice, and Trump confirmed that it was a true story. But yeah, that's an old story. But there's other ones. When Paula White was talking about some of the stuff that she knew about Trump through the years, he just kind of had an open door policy, and he you know, when she'd introduce him to women doing different things with ministry, and he'd like start writing checks, and he'd bring other people in his office like, "Hey, you need to write them a check too. Write them a check right now for $10,000."
Yeah.
Like, so this
don't even have to ask. And he's already like, "I got a heart for this." Here. You know, something happened at his Mar-a-Lago resort. It was some kind of fundraiser. He just happened to just pop in and see how are things going. He's asking the people in charge, like, "Hey, you know, how you doing? How's a fundraiser going?" And the person jokingly said, "Well, you know, we'd be doing a whole lot better if you could, you know, send us a donation." It was like a joke, right? But you know what? Trump took it seriously. He whipped out that.
I doubt it was a joke. It was probably one of those things where you want to be polite, but you mean it, but you just say it like a joke. It probably wasn't a joke, but keep going.
I mean, well, you know, it's just what it is, you know. I mean, hey, shoot your shot, right? But even so, Trump didn't have a problem doing it. He just did it. And, you know, for the most part, you know, he tries to keep that kind of stuff quiet because his thing is, hey, I got to keep my image and my brand up. I'm this tough guy. You know, I mean, he is tough, but he, you know, the image that some people have, like, oh, he's just this bad guy. That's why some people don't like him. But really, he's a really giving man, and he's loyal. I mean, for crying out loud, he gave Omarosa a doggone position in the White House, and she still acted a fool.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? He gave her a chance. I mean, he's a, from what I got, is that he is a loyal guy. He gives people chances, even after he's had a bad moment with them. So it's like, wow, he's really showing he's a far more tolerable and patient person.
Yeah, he's a loyal guy, but he can if you disappoint him, he does not have tolerance for it. So
which is true.
He can turn really quick. So that's his petty side is one of his downsides, but sometimes it can be funny.
His troll game could be legendary.
But like I said, we've been talking a while, so I just to combat what Obama said, I just want you to really quickly, like 30 seconds, tell the people watching why you decided to vote for Donald Trump, and it's not because of some silly reason that Obama said, which he gave these specific reasons, and he left it open like, oh, but you know, black community's complicated like everyone. It's like, but you could have said specifically real reasons when you had this platform, and these are the things you decided to address. So I want to give you like 30 seconds to just say why you voted the way that you did.
Okay, so plain and simple, I voted for Donald Trump simply because, one, I wanted to see a Republican president that knew how to beat the left at their own game. That's number one, who was a fighter. Okay, number two, I wanted somebody who was going to be a man of their word. All right, and from what I've seen, Donald Trump has delivered, you know, many times over. Number three, the thing that really set him apart from every president were his judicial appointments. I've never seen a president in my lifetime appoint so many empty judgeships, especially federal judgeship seats that been vacant for years. He's filled them. Mm-hmm. That sets him apart from, and that's something everyone has to ask. What kind of presidents are you going to appoint? I mean, what kind of judges are you going to appoint? And he's done that. Because there's a lot of held up cases that need to be brought up at certain levels in certain places, and they've been frozen. That's why the issue with the border is going the way it's gone, because you don't have enough judges dealing with it. So that's why a lot of folks got away, you know, sneaking in and whatever. So yeah, that's what made me vote for him, and made me vote for him twice.
Okay. Yeah. So everybody's got their reasons that they voted for him. I mean, I have a ton of reasons why I didn't vote for Joe or didn't vote for Hillary or Obama or and other people. But Trump, of course, the economy is doing really well under him. I thought he was better at that. I believe the Supreme Court is an extremely serious issue. I do care about the pro-life issue because I believe life starts at conception. Obama said that line about it's above my pay grade. If you don't know where life starts, then why are you making laws about what these different kind of procedures? And I will bring this up again. We were talking about respecting women in regards to respecting women.
Yeah.
When in Congress they were trying to pass a bill to ban abortions that discriminated solely on gender.
Mm-hmm.
When that happened during the Obama administration, the bill didn't end up passing, but they asked. It was actually Jake Tapper, and I think he worked for ABC at the time. Maybe I don't think he worked for CNN at the time.
Well, I forgot that he worked for ABC. Wow.
And he asked the White House how Obama's position on it, and they said basically we don't want to do any kind of restriction. So when it push comes to shove, the Obama administration said, we think you should be able to have an abortion if you want to kill your child because it's a girl.
Wow.
Or because it's a boy.
So much for that war on
the war on women,
right? There's your war on women.
There's
right
your war
there.
on women. You could at least limit it on that.
Yeah.
I mean, abortion's about eugenics anyway, so why not just go ahead and start?
Yeah.
You could at least limit it on that. Like, and I know they think it's a slippery slope or whatever. At least do it on that. We're talking about a human child.
Right. That's a doggone shame. But yeah, again, Trump is the one who hates women. He's a sexist and a misogynist, right?
Yeah, and a lot of people didn't like. We're sick of wars with Bush, and then they thought Obama would get him out of it. We went into more wars, and then Trump didn't go into any more. He believed in going in swift and fast and killing folk and calling it a day. And and they were like a lot. Even like the big accomplishment that Obama had with getting Osama, Joe Biden was not for that. So even like some of the great accomplishments of the Obama age, Joe can't even tax on like any credit for. So I could go into a lot of reasons why I support Trump, but none of them are because of any kind of rap culture.
Right. You know, it got nothing to do with no rappers, man. It's like Obama, don't insult us like that. That's one thing I want to say. If Obama ever hears this, don't insult black people's intelligence like that. Don't you dare. You're perpetuating a stereotype. And you know what I say? Shame on you. Yeah. And shame on anyone that goes with that. As a people, we need to do better by respecting each other and thinking more and better of ourselves. We are more than just rap music and dance and style. We have brains too. And we can think for ourselves. You know, we got to stop this. And this is far left ideology, man. This is Marxism. This is communism all over again. And it's just brought into America from a cultural sense.
And he did say like voters are complicated, and he that you can just talk to people. And this was beyond the clip that I played earlier, but you saw the whole thing. But that you could have conversations about people and get to know them, but it's like, but why? So why are you being so dishonest with this particular question? So he does this, sly, slick, snaky thing, like
in and out. Yeah. Just that, like I said, it's snaky, really, really, really snaky. 1 minute you're talking slick, then the next minute you're talking like you got some sense, like, oh, progressives just have to get out and talk to people more. That's what Trump did.
But they can keep talking, but if they don't want to understand, then that's a whole nother issue. And they just want to pretend that he's not a dumb man. He knows reasons why people voted for Trump. Like there's some dumb people in the Senate. There's some dumb people in Congress. There's some people who believe their own stuff. Like listening to some of the leaked calls with CNN, I'm like, oh my gosh, I think these people actually like, I haven't heard any like some big sinister like plot, like we're going to trick the American people. Like some of them are just actually suffering from their own delusions. So,
absolutely.
But Obama, he knows. He's smart enough to know
Very smart.
a lot of this stuff.
Better.
He knows better. He absolutely knows better. But he knows what he wants to feed people. But I'm going to go ahead and let you go and wrap this up. But thank you so much for giving your perspective on this. And I really appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you for having me, my friend. I appreciate it, man. Very happy to be on here. And thanks to everybody who took the time to listen to this. And y'all support my girl, man. Support blacktnews.com. phenomenal stuff, man. She's doing some great things. I think very highly of you, Christina. You know that.
Thank you. Thank you. God bless.
Yeah, same to you. God bless you.
Okay, so yeah, please, it's Christmas time. I got my book in the background, Slay Your Fears. It's available on Amazon. So you can check that out, and also check out some of the stuff that we have at our store at Black Tea News. About to overlay on top of me. So yeah, this cool goat shirt, the greatest of all time. You got Washington, Lincoln, Reagan, of course, Donald Trump here at the end, and that's available at blacktnews.com. And we also got some other cool shirts there as well, like the Joe Biden denounce white supremacy shirt, and on the back it's got a list of reasons and like offensive things that he said, policies, and so on. So the shirt has substance. So go ahead and wear that in your leftist town and watch the stares happen. So you can go ahead and get that. And you can also leave a donation on the website. You can go to blacktnews.com, and there's a donate button on the page. And if you would like to see this page grow, be able to travel more, talk to more people, get more people like writing articles and so on, and be able to expand it more, I would appreciate everyone who has helped so far, and everyone who is going to help in the future. I really appreciate you guys, and I really appreciate you guys taking the time to listen to this, especially as it's going on pretty long. I just think the world of you guys, and I'm glad that you're willing to hear this opinion. And I think it's so important, and because you can see in this election, no matter what the result ends up that has concluded, and whatever things might happen in the courts or whatever, we know leading up to it that the media is the one who rigged the election, and they weaponize information in such a destructive way toward the American people. And they really played with people in real time as far as things that they believed about Donald Trump and other Republicans and the race, and even stuff with coronavirus. Yes, it's real, but like pushing that story about the couple who took the fish tank cleaner, and they played that story as if they were Trump supporters who did it because the president was talking about it. And they're like, oh, we should listen to Trump. And we have this fish tank cleaner. It's kind of sounds like the same thing. And they took it, and the husband ended up dying. And they painted that story as if these people just believe Trump and they died because of their own Trump love and stupidity. What happened was the wife gave it to this man, and he ended up dying. I don't know if she actually really even took it. She mixed it in his Coke, and they're actually like Democrat donors. They donate to pro-science Democrat groups. So it just doesn't seem like they'd be the type of people to go ahead and see Donald Trump talking about hydroxychloroquine and decide to take fish tank cleaner. And he was like an engineer, and and his friends were like, he doesn't really seem like the type of person who would do this. So that's just one example of the media using a story and twisting it. And Steven Crowder even called the people who started the story, I think it was at ABC where it originated, and he gave some background on the woman. And he's like, if you at least should have known that the way you spun it was untrue, or you didn't do your due diligence and see what this woman was actually about. And so they didn't really give a good answer and with him, but obviously it was used as a manipulation. And so that's just one thing that the media did to manipulate people. But they did a lot of things on race, which I will go through at a later time in real time about how they just manipulated the hearts and minds of people. But information is powerful, and mainstream media isn't going to lend voices who want to cut through their narrative. So other sources are going to have to rise up. So if you would like to support, I thank you for it. And please check out some of my merchandise. And I appreciate you guys for taking all this time and listening. And I'll be back soon, perhaps tomorrow, with another guest. I would love to get my friend Christina back on, who was making the rounds because she was at the Capitol the other day. Talking about some of the stuff that she saw that she already expressed through another video with an interview that I had with her earlier. But she was a great witness at the Lansing hearing regarding election fraud in Michigan. So I'm telling you guys before I actually talk to her, but I'm sure she'll do it again. But God bless you guys, and good night.